Hi everyone, welcome to JavaTechie. In this tutorial, we'll demonstrate one interesting plugin called JPA Buddy. Basically, JPA Buddy is an advanced plugin for IntelliJ IDEA. It intends to simplify and accelerate everything related to JPA. It provides couple of features which you can directly publish through the plugin itself. For example, you can directly create JPA entity, you can directly create Spring Data repository. Also, you can easily generate migration script for Liquibase or Flyway using this plugin directly. So these are three key features supported by JPA Buddy, which will always make sure your code will not fail at runtime. I believe this plugin definitely reduces developer effort while working on data-centric application. In fact, you can develop an entire CRUD application or a simple microservices by spending zero time using this plugin, which is out of the box, isn't it? So let's quickly demonstrate the plugins and its uses. So let's get started. So to work with JPA Buddy, first you need to add this plugin in your IntelliJ IDE. So you can type Ctrl Alt S, then you can go to the plugins. Then in marketplace you can search JPA. It will suggest lot of JPA plugins, but we just want to demonstrate this JPA Buddy, right? Just click on install. It will take few seconds to install, but once it install, you just need to click OK, and you may need to restart your ID. Okay. So after restart your ID, to verify whether plugin installed or not, you can again go to the plugin section, and then now you need to move to this installed. Then you can see here, right, JPA Buddy and status is enabled. So what we'll do, we'll create a Spring Boot project. Then we'll try to understand how we can create entity, repository and migration script using this JPA Buddy plugin. So let me close this. I'll just create a new Spring Boot project. So click on File, New, then click on Project. So I'll use Spring Initializer. I'll give the project name JPA Buddy. Okay. Then I will use Java and type Maven. Then I will give group here com.javatechie. Fine. Then JDK I will use 8 and packaging mode is jar. Click next. Next, add all the required dependency. So I will add Lombok dependency. Also we need Spring Data JPA. So I will add Spring Data JPA. Then we need MySQL driver. Let me clear this MySQL driver. Then also you want Spring Data REST. Okay. So Spring Data REST. So the purpose of using this Spring Data REST, I'm not going to write lot of endpoint. So if you are using Spring Data REST, based on your entity name, it will expose couple of REST endpoint. Okay, all the HTTP method like get, post, put, delete, you can access through the entity name. So if anyone not aware about what is Spring Data REST, already I prepared video on Spring Data REST. I will share this link in video description so that you guys can refer it. So let me add this dependency. Also you want validation dependency from Hibernate. Fine. Let's click on finish. I just want to open in the same window. Once it downloaded all the latest dependency, since you added JPA Buddy plugin, you can find this another template in your ID, right? With name JPA structure, right? So if you observe here, there is something called persistence units DB connections. So first we need to make a DB connection. So to make a DB connection, we know the property of our data source, right? So just go to your SRC main resource in application.properties. I will add all the data source related properties, which is driver class name, URL, username, password, then so SQL. These are the property I added. Okay. Now this JPA Buddy is smart enough. He will read your application.properties file and he will help you to make the connection. So if you observe here, if you click on this DB connection, just click, do the right click, then click on new. If you click on detect connections, he will read your application.properties file. And if you observe, this is what I mentioned in my application.properties file, right? Create DB connection. it will automatically fetch your username and password. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll just click on OK. But before OK, let me test the connection. Driver file are not allowed. Okay, let me download the driver file. Now click on test connection, root, then give the password, which will be password. Click OK. So you can see here the status is succeed, right? Now click on OK. Fine. You can find the connection here. Go inside this DB connection. You can see the connection here, right? So let me minimize this. Fine. Now the first step, we need to create the entity through this JPA Buddy plugin. So what I'll do, I'll just go to the package, then I'll just right click here, then click on new, and if you observe there is an option called JPA, right? And also you can see your entity from DB, repository, JPA converter, lot of options you can see here. So just click on entity. We just want to create the entity. Give the name of your entity. I will give customer. Okay. Entity type embedded mapped superclass. So we'll just make it entity. Then I'll just give the package of my entity. Okay. I'll just simply add the entity. Click OK. So we created the entity, you can see here, right? There is annotation called entity and table. And also if you observe there is some compilation error because this is the entity and we didn't specify the ID, right? And in right side there is some JPA inspector. So first let me add the ID. So you can see here, right? Add ID attributes. So just click on that. The type you can specify. As of now I'll make it long only. Next click OK. Also if you observe it already added getter and setter for your field. Okay, now let me add couple of field. So what I'll do, I'll just click on this JPA, then I'll just click on basic type. I just want to field called name, customer name. Okay, you can also add the validation here. I'm not going to add anything. Just click on OK. Similarly I will add another field called email or phone number, something like that. Click OK. Since we added the Lombok dependency, we don't need to add this getter and setter. So we can directly remove this. Okay. Instead of that, we can annotate here @data. Fine. Now let me create another entity so that we can make a relationship between customer and another entity. Okay. So I will create an entity called product. So I will click on package, click new. Then here you can see the option called JPA. Click on entity. I will give the name as product. Click OK. So just add the primary key, add ID attribute. Fine. Now also I just need to add few field inside the product, right? So just click on basic type. So I'll give product name. Then I will add few more field. Let's say quantity. Then I'll add few more field called price. So I'll just change it to long, or you can click on this drop down. I'll just use long and then I'll give it price. Click OK. Similarly, this I just need to change to the integer or long, something like that. Okay, I'll make it integer now. Fine. Since we added Lombok, I can directly remove this getter and setter method. Just remove all method and directly I can annotate here @data. So we created two entity, customer and product. So let me close other open folder. Now I just want to map the relationship between customer and product as a one to many. One customer can purchase multiple product, right? So what I'll do, I'll just go to the customer entity and here in right side you can see the option called association, right? So just double click on that. Then association type product, because from customer I am just trying to map the product. Okay, so name I will give products. Then I just want to maintain one to many. Cascade type, let's enable all. Okay, then this customer is my owning side, so I will just enable that tick. Okay, and the column which will be join column, that I named as customer ID. Then just click OK. Let me close this. Also I will close this. Now if you will see the customer class, in customer we are doing one to many to the product. That's the reason we added one to many, and the join column we specify customer ID. So if you observe the entire structure, DB structure or schema structure, I did through the JPA body. I didn't write it manually, right? So this is how you can create the entity and you can make the association using the JPA body. Now the next step, we'll understand how we can create the repository using this JPA body. So we'll go to the project, then we'll just right click on the package, new, then go to the JPA. Here you can see the option called repository, right? Just click on this. Then you just need to give the name of your entity. For customer, I'm going to create a repository class with name customer repository, and I will just change the package here, something like repo, or I will just name it DAO. Okay, DAO. Click OK. If you observe, since we added Spring Data JPA, JPA Buddy plugin is smart enough to create this class. Extend from JPA repository, and also he map your model and data type of your primary key. Similar way, we can create for our product repository. So just click new, then go to the JPA, click on repository. The name of entity is product. So it will create a repository name called product repo. Then that's it. Just click on OK. So if you observe here, it also created a class called product repo, and it also extend from JPA repository and map the model and primary key data type, right? So we are good by creating the entity and repo. And now the next step, we just need to add the migration script, which will be Flyway migration script, right? Now let's go to the pom.xml. I believe we missed to add this dependency, which will be Flyway. Yeah, so we didn't added it. Let me add it now. So I'll just remove the version. Just do one maven update, reload project. So we're supposed to add this dependency while creating the project. That's the reason we missed another folder inside this resource called db.migration. So we need to create it manually now. Let me create new directory. I'll name it db.migration. Fine. Now let's create the migration script. So to do that, let me close all. I just need to go to this JPA structure. Then here, if you see there is a plus icon, just click on that. You will find the diff version migration. Okay. So just click on this. The source will make as a model and target as a DB. Anything else you need to change? Yeah, this is your the DB connection, that is correct. Now click on OK. So if you observe, it will just add a file with the version 1. So even I already explained how you can work Flyway migration with Spring Boot. That link also I will add in video description. So if anyone not aware about that, you can check out that. Okay. So it will start the create file with the B1. Then in next modification, the file name will be B2. Like that, it will keep increasing. Okay. So we have two table, customer and product, and also customer and product have the foreign key mapping. So that is what statement is added here, right? So I will just click on OK. So this is what the create table, even though we don't need this because already we are using Hibernate, and Hibernate will take care to create the object or table because of the, if you go to the application.properties, we are adding the dialect, right? Hibernate should take care it, but for reference purpose or for tracking purpose, I am just adding this SQL statement. Okay. Now let's add few entry or few record in this customer and product table. So for that, let's create another script. So what I'll do, I'll just click on this plus icon. Now click on empty version migrate. Okay. So if you observe, the file name starts with B2. Okay. Just click on OK. So here if you'll go to this JPA, you can go to the other, and we just want to add insert statement, right? Click on this insert, choose the table name customer, then db type mysql. For it will add the customer insert statement query, it will add for you. Okay, you just need to add the value. That's the reason we specify the entity. Since we have multiple entity, customer and product, you need to choose the entity. Okay, click on OK. you can see here insert into customer ID, name, email. So I'll just add some field, let's say 101, name I'll give John, then email some random email, okay, jhn@gmail.com. Now let's go to the, or let's add another entry or insert statement for product as well. Okay, so just click on insert, choose the entity product, click on OK. Now if you observe the next insert statement for product, so what I'll do, I'll just give some product ID, let's say some number, then name, let's say mobile, quantity is 1, then price something like 10,000, and you just need to map the primary key as a reference here, right? So that will be 101. So this customer purchased this product. Okay, similarly let's add few more entry. So for that I will create another migration file, click on empty version migration. So if you observe, the file name is starts with b3. Okay, click on OK. Same, I just want to add the insert statement for customer as well as product. So let me give some ID 143, not there, I'll add here 143, name mac, and email something like mac@gmail.com. Similarly I will add for product, click on insert, choose the entity, click OK. So I'll give ID some random product ID, let's say product name is book, and quantity is 5, price is 2000, and customer ID is 143. Fine. Now let me save this, let me minimize this, let's close all. Fine. So we created entity, we created repository, also we created the migration script. So if you observe, the folder we created, it's not being used. Already Spring Boot created this, right? So we can directly delete this. Fine. So we are good. Now let's go to the main class and we'll start the application. Okay. So go to this JPA Buddy application class, then run JPA Buddy application. It will take few seconds. Yeah. So if you observe, application started successfully, and I also want to show you the migration script which we added. So you can find here, you can see here, right, successfully validated 3 migration, execution time is this, and 0 row effect, 1 row effect. You can see here these are the migration script execution log, we can say. Okay, successfully applied 3 migration. Now if you go to MySQL workbench, let me go to MySQL workbench, I will refresh this schema. You can see here, right, customer, product, and in customer we added few record, right? Let me open that customer table. You can see there is 2 record, John and Mac. Similarly if you go to the product, you can see few record. Fine. Now just go to the Flyway schema history table. This was generated by Spring Boot as we added Flyway dependency, right? So if you observe, b1, b2, b3.sql, these are the migration script we added, and it also executed all the 3 script, and that's the reason it added the record in customer and product table, right? So now let's test our application. Since we added Spring Data REST, we have the 2 entity called customer and product, right? So with these 2 entity will act as a endpoint. So if you'll go to the browser, if I'll type here http localhost 8080 and press enter, you can see the 2 endpoint, customers and products, right? Now let me click on this customers URL. So I'll just open it in a new tab. So I'll just need to remove this argument or parameters. I just want to see all the customers. So if you observe, the name of entity is customers, right? That's the reason we added these customers, and Spring Data REST will understand, okay, this is what the get API you are doing. I will return all the customers. Okay, just enter. You can see customer John, then we have 2 customer Mac, right? We have only 2 customer. Now if you will observe, if you will click on this URL, you can again find the information about John. This is where the Spring Hetios, right? This is where the URL append to the response. And also if you observe here, customer 101, he purchased the products. So if you click on this particular URL, you can find the order purchased by the user 1, which will be 101 or customer 1, right? This is what the order we purchased, name, quantity and price. Now this is how you can access multiple GET API of customers as well as the products. Similarly, if I'll search here only products, I can see, let me try. I can see all the products saved in my database. Now let's try to access the post API. Okay, we'll just add customer object with the list of product object. Now let me go to the postman. I created already the request body. Now let me just change the URL. So I will directly go to the browser. I will copy this URL, just paste it here. Then simply change the URL to customers. Okay, because we are going to save customer object with list of products. Fine. Then next click on send. You can see the response here, right? Name, email, list of products, and this is where the again URL. So if I'll click on this customer 555 and if I'll send the request, I can see the product purchased by this particular customer with the ID 555. So in both get and post, any kind of HTTP method you can access through the Spring Data REST. Now if you'll go and check in your database, let me open the customer. You can see here, right, the new record added with ID 555. Similarly, if you go to the product, you can see there will be two more record, glass and watch. Fine, and it mapped to the perfect user ID or customer ID, which is 555. So this is what we achieved through the JPA body. We can directly create the entity repository and migration script using this JPA body. Since we added Spring Data REST dependency, we are able to access the endpoints through the entity name. Okay, yeah. So if you want to know more about JPA body, just go to official page of this JPA body. You'll find lot of things in their blog. Okay, and since this is a tool, just play with it, you will find lot of option and you can gain the knowledge on this particular plugin. Okay, that's all about this particular video, guys. Thanks for watching this video. Meet you soon with a new concept.